Ladies, Car Lake Outfitters has the popular Lake Girl apparel. Sherpa 1/4 zip pullovers, sweatshirts, hoodies, long sleeve tees, and hats in many styles and colors. The ladies will love the Greenwich Bay soaps and lotions, especially the very comfortable Hello Mellow loungewear. For the guys, Car Lake Outfitters has the largest selection of hats in the area, with over 400 to choose from. Combat Waterfowl, Los Wando, Low Country, East Coast Waterfowl, and Raised Right, to mention a few. For anyone on your list, pick up one of the Kanga Iceless Coolers. Keeps your beverage cold for up to 7 hours with no ice. Choose from the new backpack, the pouch, 12 and 24 case mates. Let's not forget the Car Lake branded shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, and signs. Car Lake Outfitters, a fun place to shop this holiday season. Open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturday 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Located at 993 South Beckford Drive in Henderson at the Marketplace Shopping Center next to Postal Plus. This holiday season, shop Car Lake Outfitters, the laid-back, casual lifestyle.
It's the New Music Update, highlighting what's new in Christian music each week. Presented by NewReleaseToday.com.
Hey, I'm Jeremiah St. James, and this is what's new in Christian music. Love in the Outcome celebrates the Christmas season with a new single, The Wonder of Christmas, with a glimpse into the birth of Jesus through the lens of a parent.
This is the wonder of Christmas, heaven's love, the holy one. This is the wonder of Christmas.
And a new Christmas single from Winter Jam 2023 artist Sean B, Loudest Sound, on a Silent Night.
You make the loudest sound on a silent night. You make the mountains bow with an infant's cry.
It's what's happening each week in Christian music.
Both singles from Love in the Outcome and Sean B
Presented
are
by
out and
NewReleaseToday.com.
streaming everywhere now.
Welcome to the Friday. Wow.
What was that?
Nicholas barked.
He barked. What did you do?
It sounded like a little dog.
I heard something, but I didn't know what it was.
All right, let me take that again. It is Friday, December the 9th.
Wait, we cannot possibly keep this, right? All right, let's do it. All right,
It's Friday, December the 9th. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
And you're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can find us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have a question for Dr. Shah or a suggestion for a future episode, send us a text at 252-582-5028. You can also email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
And you guys can help us keep the conversation in the airwaves by supporting this podcast, sharing it online, leaving us a good review on iTunes, and really just helping us keep the discussion alive. By the way, bless you, buddy. I don't know if anybody
I got
said
thrown off by the small dog that was in the recording studio.
No, it's fine. I just truly didn't know we were going to keep going. You want to hit the verse of the day real quick?
I would love to.
Yeah, go for it.
The verse of the day today comes from Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 7. For the Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hand. He knows you're trudging through this great wilderness. These 40 years, the Lord your God has been with you. You have lacked nothing.
I think that's a great reminder for us, especially, you know what? This is actually a good time to plug
Oh, it is very good.
30 Days to a New Beginning.
Yes.
Which is Dr. Shah. I didn't even plan this, but 30 Days to a New Beginning. This is Dr. Shah and Nicole's book. And the reason I'm plugging it now is because this is one of the biggest things that that Dr. Shah and Nicole talk about in this book.
Yep.
Is that through those 40 years in the wilderness, God was always there. God was always pushing them to move forward. He's blessed you in all the work of your hand. You've been trudging through this great wilderness. It feels like you're not making progress. It feels like you're stuck in a rut. You've just been doing the same thing over and over and over. And yet the Lord your God has been with you the whole time. You've never lacked anything.
That's right.
And he's constantly pushing you forward, constantly moving you to a new beginning.
That's right. I love that. I love that reminder that God is not just with you in the wilderness seasons of life, but he's faithful.
Right.
And he's also helping you move forward out of that wilderness season.
Right.
So trust him in the meantime.
That's right. He's not just working to sustain you as you go through an inevitable bad thing.
Yeah.
It's that the bad thing is going to work towards something good, something that he has planned for you.
That's right.
To prosper you.
That's right.
I love that.
All right, John, I got one for you today.
Yeah, man.
$1 million,
Ooh.
but
That's
forever.
a lot of money.
for the rest of your life, the rest of your days here on this planet, you have all of your strength, ability, dexterity that you currently possess, constitution, everything that you currently possess.
Right.
But from the waist up, you are a puppet.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Face, arms, hands. You're gonna be a puppet man. You're gonna appear to a puppet as to everyone, including your wife and your sons.
Human legs.
Human legs, puppet torso, arms, face.
Does it hurt?
No.
Yeah. Why not?
That's forever.
Sure. I look like a clown anyway.
But you'll look like a bag, like a canvas bag.
Hey, I got $1 million. I'd be fine.
Well,
Yeah, no problem. No, would you do it?
No, I would not do that.
Now, I was scared of puppets as a kid. I was really terrified.
Were you really? I didn't know that.
Terrified of puppets. I don't know what it was, but it was like the generic puppets with the circle nose, like people like Big Bird, Elmo, Cookie Monster, people who were established characters.
Yeah.
Not scared of them, but just like the random like Fraggle Rock.
But like a puppet show at church would be like,
it would scare me. Yeah. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I think and that's a big puppet too. I would think, because I'm like 6'1", so that's at least 3 feet of puppet. Does it like, am I floppy?
Oh yeah.
But I can like pick up stuff, drink it, but it's like,
yeah, you're not gonna struggle for anything, but you appear as a puppet to everyone. You sound like yourself.
I don't have to act like a puppet.
No.
Okay.
No.
Do I have ribbons for hair? Or
sure.
Is it like,
Absolutely. Ribbons or yarn, your choice.
So I can customize my look
a little bit. Don't get crazy.
Do I have feelings still? Like if my wife like rubs my hair or like, it all still feels, I don't see the issue. I don't see the issue.
Okay.
I mean, people will think differently of me, but that's the good point that's the point of being rich. I don't have to care.
Imagine what a conversation started that would be. It'd be like, "Sir, are you a puppet?" Be like, "Yeah, I am a puppet."
They're like, "How does that work, sir? We don't serve puppets. Here's $1,000. Don't talk to me again. Get out of my face and serve me my lasagna at this Maggiano's."
Oh my goodness! All right, well, look for Puppet John to make an appearance very soon.
Would you do it?
I would not do it. I would not take it. Not forever. I would do it for like a limited amount of time, but not forever.
Yeah. Yeah. One last question.
Yeah.
If I work out, do I get puppet buff?
No. No, you have no puppet muscles. You're just fabric.
Could I have really well-defined legs?
You can be strong. You can be like, you can build your strength up, but you will always appear just as a puppet with just straight stick arms.
I could have super defined legs.
Oh yeah. Your legs are human.
That stinks because working out upper body is like my zone. That's where I excel.
Yeah. You will never appear any different. Your appearance will not change. Your strength will change, but your appearance will not. What about Joseph?
Exactly, right?
We often don't talk about him, but Joseph had to go through a lot during the nativity
story. That was some alarming news. Like let's like if someone came to me, if my wife came to me and said that, I'd be like, all right, let's sit down, let's talk this through.
I'm pregnant and it's the Lord's.
It's the Lord's. I'll be like, all right, it's
talk? Not just the Lord's, it is the Lord.
Let's maybe me and you will go grab a coffee. We'll chat.
Yeah.
We'll chat.
Yeah. So we're going to bring Dr. Shine and we're going to talk about Joseph specifically and his perception of the nativity story today. But if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, text us at 252-582-5028, or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. We're going to get Dr. Shine. We'll be right back.
Hey there, listeners. My name is John.
And I'm David.
And we just want to take a second and talk to you about Dr. Sean Nicole's new book, 30 Days to a New Beginning, Daily Devotionals to Help You Move Forward.
No matter who you are or where you are in life, you're going to get stuck. You're going to have goals that you just can't seem to reach, and you're going to be looking for some new way to start over.
Unfortunately, life does not have a restart button. But here's the good news. God's mercy is new every day, right? And so that means every day is a new chance for you to start over.
Now, Dr. Shah and his wife, Nicole, have written a new 30-day devotional in their 30-day series designed to give you practical tools for starting over. No matter where you are in life's journey or what pitfalls you've encountered, this devotional is going to help you move forward, refocus your mind on God's truth, and meditate on His Word.
Mm-hmm. And you guys can pick up a copy right this second on Amazon.com.
Unless you're driving.
Yeah, don't shop and drive unless you're driving, in which case, wait till you get home. But we're going to leave a link for you right here in the description of this podcast. So it'll be waiting for you when you get home. That's 30 Days to a New Beginning, daily devotionals to help you move forward.
For the remainder of November and all through December, we'll be sending a free copy to anyone who supports the podcast by visiting us online and donating to the show at clearviewtodayshow.com.
That is a very, very good incentive, gang. That's 30 Days to a New Beginning, daily devotions to help you move forward by Abadan and Nicole Shaw.
Hey there, listeners. My name is Kelsey.
And I'm John.
And we want to pause the show for just a second to talk to you guys about Clearview Church's original EP, Together Forward.
Yeah, these are 5 songs, 5 original songs that we wrote right here at Clearview Church. Myself, Dr. Shaw, David Williamson, our engineer on the Clearview Today show, some of the other guys on the worship team. But sometime during all the shutdowns of 2020, we noticed this really horrible isolationism setting in all over the world.
It was like nothing we've ever seen before.
That's right. And one of the things that we've always been about here at Clearview is forward motion and community. Those are both very important. So the whole heart behind the EP was, hey, let's just take these two things and let's put them together, because we truly feel like that's the antidote to what's happening in the world today.
We're right in the middle of writing a whole bunch of new material as a church, but while all of those projects are still in the works, we want to help point you guys towards these songs that God has given us. You can listen to all of them right now on Spotify. Just look up Clearview Worship. Or if you want to support what we're doing here at Clearview Church, you can buy it on iTunes right now.
And always remember, you can support us directly at the Clearview Today Show by visiting us online at clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right. Thanks for listening. We hope these songs are as much a blessing to you as they were for us.
Man, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shaw, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, send us a text at 252-582-5028. Dr. Shaw, welcome back to the studio today.
It's great to be here. Hope you guys are doing well.
Absolutely. You're looking good today, man.
I do
Really
like
good.
the purple a lot.
Well, it's Christmas is here, so I figured might as well. This is, December is here, so I decided to go very Christmassy.
Yeah, everything
love
on
it.
the set is like black or gray, so I mean, it just pops
That's
out. For the
flash
radio
of color.
audience, you guys are missing out. I'm sorry to tell you.
Go over to the Facebook page so you can watch the video.
That's right.
Clearview Today on Facebook.
That's right. And if this is the first time tuning in, you've never heard the show before, Dr. Abadan Shah is a PhD in New Testament textual criticism, professor at Carolina University, author, full-time pastor, and the host of today's show. You can follow his work on his website, abadanshaw.com.
That's right. And we are talking through our series on Christmas as we're in December, as we're heading closer and closer toward the 25th. We're talking about different elements, different characters that are in the nativity story. And we talked about things like the wise men. We've talked about the shepherds up to this point. But today, let's talk about somebody who doesn't get a lot of airtime in the Christmas story.
Rudolph.
Not who I had in mind, honestly.
Just kidding.
He's got a whole movie devoted to him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I guess one of the others, like Dancer or Prancer or something.
Yeah. I had Joseph in mind, is who I was thinking.
Yeah,
of.
that's true, man.
Mary's
That's true.
husband, Joseph.
Yeah. You don't really think about Joseph a lot, but he's pretty important.
Yeah, we talk a lot about how Mary must have perceived what was going on and how what she was experiencing, but we don't talk quite as much about Joseph.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about Joseph today. Dr. Shaw, what do you think it must have been like for Joseph to find out that his wife was pregnant with the Son of God?
I mean, I can only imagine, especially considering the time in which Joseph lived. It says that he was minded to put her away secretly. But what does that mean? Minded to put her away secretly so there won't be any shame? But there would be shame. Now, of course, we're talking about Galilee, right? So maybe things were a little looser when it came to some of the laws of the Old Testament. If a woman was caught in adultery, what do you do, and all that stuff. Now, think about the woman caught in adultery. What were they doing to her?
They're going to
Stone her. Now, I know there's text critical issues, and as a text critical scholar, I'm tempted to go deal with that issue, but I'm just going to leave that alone for right now. Even text critics on the side that doesn't believe that believes that the woman caught in adultery doesn't belong in the Bible, they still agree that this is a very old account. I mean, it goes way, way back in a time period where, very close to the original text. So what were they doing to the woman caught in adultery? They were about to stone her.
Right.
What would they have done to Mary? They would have stoned her.
Yeah.
And she was from Nazareth. And if you remember, Nazareth, that word comes from Netzer, which means root. The people living in Nazareth were, of course, we hear about people working in Nazareth. So they living in Nazareth, they could work, a few minutes to the north where there was a Roman colony and a lot of building was going on. But the people living in Nazareth, according to our best understanding, were coming from a priestly clan, a group of priests who felt like they were the ones through whom the Messiah would come.
Do you think there was like a holier than thou complex sort of thing?
Yes, of course.
So if one of theirs were to be caught in adultery or something, that would be bad news.
It would be bad news. They would have, I don't know, driven her away or found a way to purge her.
Wow.
By stoning her. That's what they were doing. And remember this whole account of the woman caught in adultery. Jesus began to write on the ground. We don't know for sure what he wrote. According to some readings and some commentaries, it was like Jesus was writing the sins of the people standing in the crowd with a stone in their hand. We don't know for sure. But nonetheless, the point is they would have killed her.
Wow. And, something that kind of gets me that I don't usually think about is when the angel comes and says, don't be afraid to take Mary, your wife. Like at this point, she wasn't even his wife yet.
Right.
I would understand if it was his wife and he feels like, okay, even if there was some adultery, there may be some, but like he's not even married yet.
Right. Yeah.
And so to show that mercy and to put her away secretly, I mean, that was a very honorable thing.
At the same time, keep in mind the betrothal period in that time of the world was not the same as the engagement period today.
Okay.
Like today, when we talk about somebody being engaged, hey, they can break off their engagement. Right? It's sad, but it's not as complex unless like they went out and bought a house and put it in their names or all that. Then it gets complicated.
Right.
But most people won't do that. Unfortunately in our culture, cohabitation is a big problem. By the way, cohabitation, let me just say this. It doesn't help you have a good marriage.
That's true. That's true.
The statistics are against that, which is this. If you do that, the likelihood of you going through divorce is far higher.
Yeah. People don't think about that. They think, oh yeah, like sort of a try this out before we actually get into this.
Yeah, you got to try it before you commit.
Compatible.
Right.
But I mean, just like you said, Dr. Shaw, the statistics actually point the opposite direction. Like you're much more likely to be headed for divorce.
If you're willing to cross that boundary and say, we're going to play marriage, but we're not married, then when you get into marriage and things get tough, your mind says, hey, you're just playing.
Right.
You can get out of this game anytime you want to.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, that's a different subject.
Right.
But since we were on this, I thought I might as well cover that as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But going back to Mary and Joseph, betrothal was different.
Okay.
And it was much more they were much more vested.
They were locked in.
Got you. And in a sense, she was already his wife.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that is helpful to know. I can't imagine though what he must have been thinking and what would have come against her. People in Nazareth shunning her, calling her names, just judging her. But Joseph, man, that would have been. I mean, that would have rung a bell to hear that. Like, hey, I'm pregnant and it's not yours, but I promise it's the Son of God.
Yeah. I mean, the first thought for me is, well, obviously you're lying.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, that doesn't happen. That's not like a regular occurrence.
Yeah, you fell and hit your head or something. And why don't you go lay down? And,
best case scenario, you're confused.
Right.
Gosh, I can't even believe what must have been going through his mind. But then, he has that encounter with the angel, and then Joseph, he believes. Even when it's difficult, even when the odds are against him, even when, the logical part of his brain is saying, this can't be true, he believes and he trusts in what the angel tells him.
That's right. I mean, the Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 1 and verse, I believe, 20, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream saying, Joseph, son of David. So gives him a title, which is, I don't know if he's deserving of that title yet. I mean, but later on he will be. But the angel is asking him to step up to that position and don't be a coward. Don't run out right now. This is the high moment of the history of the universe. Don't abandon your post.
Right. Right.
You have been called, just like Esther, for a time such as this. So, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take to you Mary, your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit, and they will bring forth and she will bring forth a son, and you, not Mary, you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. So, it's not enough to say, hey, you just be there, okay? Just be a supportive husband
Right.
/ stepdad.
Right.
No, you need to be the one naming this child, which means this child is not going to be illegitimate by any stretch,
Right.
by any imagination.
Right. This is he's to be treated as your son. I wonder, what would the ramifications have been if people had believed that Joseph was the biological father? If they had just said, hey, we had this baby during our betrothal period, but before
we messed up or whatever.
Yeah. I'm guessing it would have been somewhat the same. Like they both would have just gone down for that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that would be compromising the gospel message
Even further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for him to say, not mine, but no, she is not being promiscuous or was promiscuous.
Yeah.
She was a virgin. And it's not my child.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough one to.
It's tough, and especially when you try to put yourself as a man in his place.
Mhm.
Like, what would I have done? I know
Right.
like how the story ends, and I know
Right.
what Joseph did was the right thing.
Right.
But genuinely, what would I have done?
Yeah, because I mean that's something that is gonna, I would imagine, follow them.
Yeah.
That stigma is always kind of attached to them. Your wife had a child,
And it's not.
and whether or not it was in the betrothal period or not, the child is not yours.
And then like it's not just the two of them in a vacuum. Like
Right.
they live in a community where
Yeah.
other people, like when he's away from Mary, other people are talking to him like, "Hey man, come on!" Like
yeah, what
you know,
really
it's
happened?
not
Right.
it's not God's son. You know that, right? Like,
and
it's-
and he's also full-blooded human being,
Yeah.
right? Joseph is.
Yeah.
And the Bible tells us in Matthew 1:24, then Joseph being aroused from sleep did as the angel of the Lord commanded him and took to him his wife. And then it says, verse 25, and did not know her till she had brought forth her firstborn son.
wow.
And he called his name Jesus. So imagine for those 9 months not touching your wife.
Yeah. That's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
I mean, that man really sacrificed.
Right.
So is that in verse 24? Is that the moment of their marriage? Were they married before Jesus was born?
Yes,
Okay.
of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow.
so I think he took her as his wife.
We read that so quickly without thinking about it. But I mean, he told Joseph in 21, she's gonna bring forth a son, and you're gonna call his name Jesus. He could have hung out until Mary had the baby and then just slipped away. You know what I
Right.
mean? He could have
Yeah.
he could have taken that door out, and I feel like God's plan of salvation would have still happened. But his sacrifice and his willingness to stay there and to be that man, even taking not a subservient role. He's not taking a subservient role, but it's just a servant leadership. You know what I mean? That servant leadership that God has called us to be.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's something that you just really don't think about until you sit down and start thinking about it.
Yeah. It's certainly it's not something that I considered much as a young man, but becoming a husband and becoming a father, it's definitely something that's carried a little more weight for me. As Elizabeth and I got married, as our kids were born, I think more about what Joseph what his experience must have been like.
And the longer you live in this world and raise your family and build relationships, the more you realize how much sacrifice is part of the joy of life.
Yeah.
We only tend to think of working hard, working smart, and then reaping the rewards. No, unfortunately, life in this sinful world doesn't work like that. There are complications. There are sinful behaviors. There are, people close to you or farther away from you, doesn't matter. They will act in ways that are, not right.
Yeah.
And then you have to make the sacrifices. It's not like they're going to be sacrificed or make sacrifices. You have to make the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's tough.
I think it's also important to remember that Joseph is doing this not as a sacrifice so that he can make the martyr play or so that he can suffer needlessly,
Right.
but because God's plan of salvation is coming to him and it's being laid out right in front of him and he can see that vision.
Yeah.
I mean, just to even be part of that vision, what a huge privilege that it is.
Yeah.
To be part of that plan of salvation.
I believe that's the message today for our generation.
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to make sacrifices,
Yeah.
big one, painful ones. And know that when you do make those sacrifices, God honors you.
Mhm.
And God honors that. So if it's not going to cost you anything, then it's not worth anything.
Right.
Wow. If it's not going to cost you anything, it's not worth anything.
Yeah. What free thing do I have that's precious to me?
Can I go back and make that my quote?
Yeah. If you want to. You
I'm just going to rewind and make that my
you want to
quote.
just edit that in?
Yeah, just stick that in the episode where I have my quote. If it's not going to cost you anything, it's not worth anything.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
what at the same time, like, how much can I truly sacrifice? Like, I can never out-sacrifice Jesus.
That's
I
right.
can never sacrifice more than him. And he's never going to cause me to lose. Not that he would cause me to lose things, but what I'm saying is he's not going to ever demand more than he himself has already given.
That's right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right. He
Yeah.
gave the ultimate sacrifice,
Amen.
his life for ours, even while we were sinners, even while we were enemies of God. It's one thing for somebody to die for somebody who's nice and good.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like any of us here will lay our life down, other than David, down for our children,
Mhm.
right? You would do that.
Mhm.
I would do it.
Absolutely.
But it's quite different to lay your life down for somebody. Let's just say somebody who has deeply hurt you.
Mhm.
How about abused you? Would you lay your life down for that person? No. That's when we go, no, I can lay my life down for my enemy, but that goes deep.
Right.
That's how we were towards God.
Wow. What do you think? What lessons can we take as husbands and as fathers, but just as believers from the life of Joseph?
I would say personally, when God calls you to do something, it'll cost you.
Mm.
It'll be painful. It'll be tough. Some days you're going to question God. Some days you're going to question yourself. You're going to feel, betrayed, or you're going to feel that, you're being misunderstood and mislabeled and all of that. But if you simply trust God, if you just believe in your core that God is in control and that whatever is happening right now is going to work out for the best,
Yeah.
that's the only way to move forward.
That's right. There's a verse in 1 John, I think it's chapter 5 and verse 3, where it says, "For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome." And I think it just shows, especially in Joseph's case, of how much he just unconditionally loved God.
Yeah.
And I mean, not everything God calls us to do is going to be pleasant. It's
Right.
going to be uncomfortable. It's going to require sacrifice. But I think here's the thing: as Christians, we claim to love him unconditionally. Our actions have to show that. And when we obey, it has to be joyful obedience. It has to be obedience that it may not make me immediately happy in this immediate circumstance, but joyfully, I want to obey you.
Absolutely. And I love the way you pointed out earlier, John. Like, Joseph got the opportunity to be used in God's, in an integral way in God's redemptive story.
Yeah.
In the unfolding of this pivotal moment in the history of the universe. Of course, we have Mary. Of course, we have Jesus. But Joseph himself became a major player when he didn't have to be.
And it speaks to it because it can so easily be twisted. Like, my masculine pride could overtake my thoughts and be like, God is going to use me, but I'm always going to be like the guy who his wife got pregnant, not by him, and I just kind of took the back seat in this whole story. That could easily be twisted in my mind, but that's not at all what it is. And I think to either recognize that or to sacrifice in spite of thinking that, either way, there's a lot of respect there for Joseph's character.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. If you guys enjoyed today's topic, or if you have suggestions for future topics, let us know by sending us a text at 252-582-5028. You can also visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. And remember that there's a place for you to donate right there on that website. Click that donate button and join in this partnership with us as we seek to impact the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Dr. Shaw, you already gave me my favorite quote of the day. If it doesn't cost anything, it's not. If it doesn't cost anything, it's not worth anything. What is your favorite quote that you want to leave listeners with today?
Well, I have many, but there's one I want to share today. When you talk about sacrifice, at least in the context of our nation, I cannot think of somebody more, more appropriate for that image than Abraham Lincoln.
That's true.
That's
true.
He was willing to step into on the stage, get into the hot seat at a time where nobody wanted to touch that because they knew this was going to go bad. This is going to kill people, destroy lives. Our way of life will be changed forever. Nonetheless, this young man, I would say young man, went into that position. And on April the 15th, 1865, he was assassinated. And one reason he was willing to do that is because he loved our country. He wanted to preserve the Union. I know today people have all kinds of ideas about Abraham Lincoln and who he was and what he did not do right and all that, on and on. But overall, nobody will doubt that he loved this nation. And of course, he loved God.
That's true.
And he was doing what he was doing because he felt that this is what you have to do if we're going to survive as a people.
That's right.
But a quotation from him would be this one. He said, "My dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope on earth."
Last best hope.
Keep in mind, this is before 1865, right? And he was how old? Did you know that? Anybody here know?
I don't.
Only 56 when he died.
Really?
Wow.
That's it. Only 56 years of age when he died.
Huh.
Not 60s, not 70s, definitely not 80s and 90s. We know that. But he was only 56.
Car Lake Outfitters has you covered this holiday season with Santa-approved gifts. For the ladies, Car Lake Outfitters has the popular Lake Girl apparel, Sherpa 1/4-zip pullovers, sweatshirts, hoodies, long sleeve tees, and hats in many styles and colors. The ladies will love the Greenwich Bay soaps and lotions, especially the very comfortable Hello Mellow loungewear. For the guys, Car Lake Outfitters has the largest selections of hats in the area, with over 400 to choose from. Combat Waterfowl, Los Wando, Low Country, East Coast Waterfowl, and Raised Right, to mention a few. For anyone on your list, pick up one of the Kinga Iceless coolers. Keeps your beverage cold for up to 7 hours with no ice. Choose from the new backpack, the pouch, 12 and 24 case mates. Let's not forget the Car Lake branded shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, and signs. Car Lake Outfitters, a fun place to shop this holiday season. Open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturday 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Located at 993 South Beckford Drive in Henderson at the Marketplace Shopping Center next to Postal Plus. This holiday season, shop Car Lake Outfitters, the laid-back, casual lifestyle. Hey, we made it easy for you here on Nextdoor Radio and nextdoorradio.com. Available now by way of the Google and Apple Store is the Nextdoor Radio app. Anywhere you want to go, you can take Nextdoor with you. All the local talk programs, all local sports, and a great mix of 70s, 80s, classic rock, you can now take anywhere you want to go by download the Nextdoor Radio app today. Available Google and Apple stores.
This is Louis Bowling with Looking Back into Granville County History. Well, of course, this is Christmas time, so I wanted to share a report from the Oxford Public Ledger in 1951. Amid hushed excitement, Santa Claus arrived here Friday night and greeted several thousand citizens on Main Street. The arrival of Santa was heralded by the Oxford School Band, playing Here Comes Santa Claus. Santa was riding on a big red fire truck, seated comfortably in a sleigh drawn by a gleaming white reindeer, with red lights blinking down the center of the street. Streamers of ornamental lights were used about the truck. There was breathless silence as the truck crept into the center of Main Street and police officers quickly tied off a rope. Santa, finding himself in a chasm formed by several thousands of boys and girls, most of them accompanied by parents, waved fondly to the objects of his affections. Fireman G.R. Harrison assisted Santa in getting down. With helpers, St. Nick began moving about the fringe of the crowd. Thousands of suckers were distributed to admiring children in a matter of minutes. The singers and the school band helped to entertain the gathered throngs, numbering about 4,000. Stores were open from 7 to 9, and after the Santa visit, the crowds began moving into stores and elsewhere. This is Louis Bowling with Looking Back into Granville County History.
It's time for local talk here on Nextdoor Radio, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app. Again, this is local talk here on Nextdoor. We are live. For those really tuning in for the very first time, for those doesn't know who Oxford CAN is, explain what that is if you can.
So Oxford Community Action Network is a relatively loose group of individuals who saw a need to help organize and help bring people together across all neighborhoods in Oxford. And our founding drive was to establish greenways, right, to expand the transportation network here in town, where people can feel safe to walk between neighborhoods and get to downtown, get between neighborhoods if they want to. Greenways were our primary focus, but we've had members come to us wanting to expand kind of our breadth, and so what it's become is really an let's say a clearinghouse for ideas, ideas for improvement, ideas for action in town, where someone says, "Hey, I've got a greenway idea. I need to connect my street, at this intersection to downtown. There's no easy way to walk there. How do we get that to happen?" We've recently started with kicking off Oxford's first greenway over at a property there on Sycamore Street to help, the neighborhood there at the intersection of Sycamore and Orange Street be able to walk downtown, because, face it, that part of town was basically put together so that people couldn't walk out of it, right? And so what we want to do is make sure that no matter where you live in town, if you're going to approach a greenway, you should be able to get to downtown and enjoy what's really thriving and growing. I mean, we all talk about the growth that's happening and happened in Oxford, and everybody in Oxford should be able to enjoy that by walking to it. So that's what we're about. We've had, like I said, we recently had Pastor Ronnie Morton at Greater Joy Baptist Church come to us. He's involved with the Hope House, which is a fantastic organization over on Orange Street. Come to the Hope House Gala on December 3rd. Put in a plug for that.
There you go. If you didn't do it, I was going to do it. So that's perfect.
Fantastic. We could both do it. But he has this idea and this vision of, look, I want to have things like a community garden. I want to make sure people can walk safely. People can use some property that, Treasures of Joy, his nonprofit, has to basically walk across to get downtown. So in cooperation with him and Hope House, his organization, there's also some private property that's been acquired on Granville Street that's going to allow people to walk from Orange Street, Sycamore Street, through that property on a greenway safely. There aren't any sidewalks in the majority of that neighborhood. To walk through and hit actually public property. There's a public right of way that goes, off of Granville Street right over to MLK. So it's the perfect use case for what, we were founded to do, which is to make historic Oxford more walkable, more friendly. But what it's done is it's shown us that, with public and private partnership, we can get that kind of stuff done. I'll tell you, it's been, every time we have an event, more people show up that we've never seen before.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is fantastic. We had our first going on. We had our first event was actually a cleanup out at Lake Devon. Right.
Yeah, that was the first time that me and we met here in the studio.
Did, yeah. And to follow up on that, that was the middle of November. We're working with Tina Cheek over at Oxford Parks and Rec. She's the director of Parks and Rec. It was kind of probably a little bit of a flyer for her to kind of like, okay, you guys, put up, shut up. You want to help us out? Let's do it. And we did. We went out and, we probably picked up about 3 cars worth of tires out of the trail system out there and brought it out. The city picked up all the trash. There's great pictures of us out on the Oxford CAN website, oxfordcan.org, showing, I don't know, 2 tons of trash probably. We picked up trash till we ran out of trash bags, basically. So we did that in the middle of November. We did a Greenway kickoff a couple weeks ago, and really, Thomas Blaine and Julia Blaine, who are, as you know, run Strong Arm. We have these conversations all the time, and Thomas is like, "Man, look, 90% of this is just showing up, and once you get people to show up, it's not hard to really get a lot of work done." We cut a beautiful little trail in just 2 hours of work on a Saturday morning. Picked up trash, cut down invasive plants, and dragged that off for the city to pick up. It was just 2 hours, and it was an amazing amount of result. With, I don't know, we probably had 20 people or so, anywhere from folks who were probably in their mid to late 70s, all the way down to high schoolers from Oxford Prep, Durham School of the Arts, came out and helped us knock it out. So what we're finding is more and more people want to plug into town somehow. People believe in some sort of cheerful service. They're just looking for opportunities to do it. So as that sort of test case and use case, we're showing that, look, if you ask for people to come out, they will show up. And if you're looking to do good things in town, people want it, and they're willing to show up and help make it happen just through a volunteer effort.
And I think that's fantastic, especially with a town with Oxford growing the way it is.
It is.
Again, Granville County is growing, but especially Oxford, where you've got, and you mentioned before, you've got new businesses coming in. It's thriving. I mean, that's a great feeling as not only a member of the community, a local business here in the community, but that's a great feeling.
It is. And what we found out is that it's not just people coming out and sticking to task, knocking it out. People want to hang out. People want to talk. People want to socialize. And we're finding more ideas coming out of these work days too. Most recently, there's been a couple folks who have been loosely involved and who actually came out and helped with the effort last month, which was, this month. We're still in November, the middle of November, that are interested in helping beautify some of the cemeteries around town. The biggest public green space, and actually the oldest public green space we have in Oxford, is the old Oxford Cemetery. And, there's interest there in helping clean that up. There's interest there in, perhaps organizing an Adopt a Grave program. We have, believe it or not, we were contacted by two folks who'd been kind of following us for a while, who are professional restorers of graveyards. That's what they do. They live in Oxford. They travel all over the state, all over the Southeast, to help restore tombstones and restore these, stone monuments. They happen to live here in Oxford. So it's just this sort of serendipity as we sort of keep just out there in the public. People show up. And if people believe that you're going to do the right thing and do good, they keep showing up, is what we found. So, those are the kind of things that are going on. When we look at green spaces in town, it's not just greenways. We talked, last time about, hey, they're destinations. And if you're downtown and want to walk through a nice, quiet green space, what better place than literally Oxford's oldest green space in 1840.
Wow.
That's
fascinating.
It was established. So, those are the sort of things that we're looking to do. And we'll be presenting those things to leadership of the city to say, look, we can help out. We talked before about, hey, we're a force multiplier. If you want to do good things, but you're struggling to staff, ask for some volunteers. We'll help. So that's the whole nature of it. Community action, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So
Matt Cox joins us here by way of In Studio Live here this morning, part of our local talk program. He is Oxford Community Action Network. So talk a little bit more. What's next for kind of the game plan for OxCan?
That's a great question. We're always hearing from folks with different ideas, and so we're hearing that we've started off with this greenway, this public-private greenway. We're trying to use this as sort of a use case white paper, if you will, that we can present to leadership around the county. So, for instance, if the city wants to get on board and start creating city greenways, we can show them kind of a way to do it. We can show them that volunteer efforts really will help create very low cost footpaths around town from a greenway perspective. We've talked about the cemeteries. We've heard from other folks who may have some ideas for some pocket parks around town, especially where there's a lot of publicly owned city-owned space that's green space, but hasn't been improved, hasn't been cleared, but could be a beautiful little destination. So we're hearing about that. We have tentatively scheduled a presentation to the City of Oxford Parks and Rec Committee. I don't know if that's public or not, but we're going to be chatting with them in January. We hope to talk about some plans that we originally suggested for a Greenway connector to connect the Mary Potter Center, which is a county-owned property, to City Hall, the Hicks complex there. So we feel like it's a good unifying symbolic property to basically create that as a first capital C city-owned Greenway instead of lowercase c, two different things, or a subset of the other perhaps. But we'll be presenting that and talk about, we've got architectural plans drawn for it, and talk about how it can get accomplished with, again, that 90% of the problem, getting people to show up, right? We've already had folks talk to us about working to maintain things. One of our volunteers went and helped take care of some fire ants over on Orange Street and Sycamore Street, right? Take care, and that's all volunteer. So if you allow people to take ownership of these little efforts, what happens to the whole community? That's the beauty of it. Community action also creates community ownership, right? So you don't have to worry about, well, what if people are going to vandalize things, or what if people are going to that's the beauty of Greenways, right? Once you give people the idea that they own that it's either public or they're able to use it, they start taking care of it, right? So we're just kind of operating on the whole idea. Long-winded answer to your question.
Hey, no worries.
Good deeds produce more good deeds, right? So,
and again, Max Scott joins us here by way of OxCan, the Oxford Community Action Network, part of our Local Talk program. If you've missed this live show, you can head back to our website here this afternoon. Timestamp right now is 10:19 here on a beautiful Tuesday morning. How can our listeners find some more information about you? How can they get a hold of you if they want to help?
Great question. The easiest way is to go to oxfordcan.org. Sounds just like it's spelled, or spelled just like it sounds, rather. They can sign up for newsletters there. They can see what we've got going on as far as ongoing projects, proposed projects. They can hear a little bit more, or read a little bit more about our organization. And if they want to reach out, via email, they can certainly email us. It's an easy email address, everyone@oxfordcan.org.
Perfect.
And that hits everyone.
Perfect. Well, good deal. Well, Mr. Matt, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for making downtown, not only Oxford, but all of Oxford, a better place. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for what you do.
Absolutely. Again, my name is Trace Nine. On behalf of Local Talk, he is Matt Cox, OxCan, Oxford Community Action Network. You can head to the website. Like you mentioned, oxfordcan.org is the best place to be able to find more information about what they do, what they have coming up, and what they continue to do for Oxford. Again, my name is Trace Nine. On behalf of Local Talk, hey, we made it easy for you here on Nextdoor Radio and nextdoorradio.com. Available now by way of the Google and Apple Store is the Nextdoor Radio app. Anywhere you want to go, you can take Nextdoor with you. All the Local Talk programs, all local sports, and a great mix of 70s, 80s, classic rock, you can now take anywhere you want to go by download the Nextdoor Radio app today. Available Google and Apple stores. Now is the time to switch to Cricket Wireless. Get an iPhone SE for free or the iPhone 11 for only $99.99 when you switch. Plus, get half off your first month of service. 2 lines of unlimited is only $90 a month. Pay $45 for your first month. 4 lines is only $110 a month. Pay only $55 to start. And never any contracts. This offer is exclusive to Cricket Wireless in Wake Forest near Coles. Requires port in on unlimited more plan. Excludes AT&T.
During this time of faith and family, may the true meaning of Christmas fill you with joy. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year. This holiday greeting is brought to you by Little Explorers Academy located in Oxford. Are you looking for a child care center that treats your child like family? I invite you to call and take a tour of Little Explorers Academy in Oxford. Their number is 919-603-0911. That's 919-603-0911. And they are located at 616 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. Little Explorers Academy, treat your child like family.
It's time for local talk here on Nextdoor Radio, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app. And a good morning. Welcome to a local talk here on Nextdoor Radio, nextdoorradio.com. This is Behavioral 911. I still love the name.
Good.
I know you came up with that, but I told you I was taking anyway. Behavioral 911 here, part of our local talk program every single Friday beginning at 10:15. Ms. Kelly Siphon joins me here in studio live. If you missed this live show, you can head back to our website at nextdoorradio.com and either watch it or listen to the audio by way of our program and recordings tab. Ms. Kelly, how are you today?
I am so well. How are you doing?
I'm good. We've made it to the weekend. It's supposed to be a busy weekend, so we'll see how that goes starting today. Of course, you apply behavioral happiness. Real quick, let's give a quick little introduction once again to what you do.
Absolutely. So I am the owner of Applied Behavioral Happiness, where we change behavior and protect the spirit. We can help you with everything from whining to tantrums and meltdowns to big explosive behaviors. We're here to help.
Fantastic. Ms. Kelly joins us here by way of our local talk program. And once again, this is Behavioral 911. So one of the conversations and topics here today is really storytelling situation. When I say that, what does that mean?
Certainly. So there's a few different things we can talk about here. We can talk about, say, the daily routine, whereas a story is a part of our good night routine, for example, to help us wind down and get ready to sleep. Or we can talk about it from the perspective of how do we use stories in sort of playful moments to get from, no, I won't do it, absolutely not, that sort of push back into, okay, we're working together, we're back rolling, and we're following directions.
Absolutely. And now my son loves the story times and loves the book reading because he has to. That's what he gets his grades on at school. And so we read a couple books a night, which I enjoy because I works with my work schedule. We can do anything and a little bit of everything, or that I do. And then at nighttime, about 8 o'clock, we sit down and we read a couple different books. So talk a little bit more about that. How important is it to be able to have that little individual time with your daughter or child?
That is a really good point. So the importance of that time is a couple fold. We've got, first of all, like I said, we're calming down, we're using a routine. So we've got something consistent that we're seeing every day. It's a routine to get us calm and ready to go to bed, which helps a lot to be able to wind down that way. We also have that one-on-one time. There is and I didn't coin this term, but there is a term called the 10-minute miracle, which is if you spend 10 minutes with your child alone, just one adult with one child, doing something that they lead and enjoy, and this can be a part of that, you can see some pretty massive behavioral changes because you're filling that cup of one-on-one time. This can be a great way to be able to get that in there. The other thing that we want to consider too is we're increasing literacy in our ability to understand language. So we can have books that talk about emotions. We can have books that talk about seeing difficult things, meeting challenges, and being able to work through them. And it can become not just a bonding moment, not just a routine moment, but also a teaching and learning moment.
So a couple things here. Give some insight and some suggestions on conversations that you can have leading up to that point.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I like to have, if I am specifically focusing in, say, on emotional words, our repertoire of words that we can use to describe how we're feeling, what we can do with those feelings, is have some cards that have different emotions on them. And that can be a good prompting method for, hey, as we're going through this book, as you see, a character having an emotion, let's see if you can find the card that matches. So you can turn it into sort of a fun game that way. You can also talk about, hey, let's do what's called a picture walk. It's something a lot of the schools are doing now. A picture walk through the book, and let's identify things just by the facial expressions. And then we'll go through and read it and see if it actually matches, see if our hypotheses that we came up with by looking at these different pictures and different emotions match what actually happens in the book.
Interesting. So a personal side with the way one of my only son, he really loves baseball, of course, like his dad, baseball coach. He played baseball for the first time this year. One of the suggestions from the school was to write down words on a card, put it on the wall, and throw at it.
Absolutely.
We have a little, of course, it's a soft object, but he can actually read the word, hey, that, throw it at that. And so that's a personal side that really works for a 5-year-old. I mean, it can work for all the way up to middle school.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you can also start doing, as we get older, a bunch of words where you ask a question and they answer it by reading the word and throwing the ball at the different words.
The
And you can
fact
get
that
some funny ones.
Yeah, he's going to start reading better than me at 6. So,
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous because it takes me forever to do homework, to be honest with you. So, Kelly Siphon joins us here. She's applied behavioral happiness. This is Behavioral 911. My name is Trace Knight. This is Local Talk here on Next Door Radio. So, offer some tips and regarding once you're in that setting of finally sitting down, offer some tips and suggestions that way.
Certainly. So let's say we're having a lot of trouble actually getting to sleep or to getting to that point where we can sit down. Now, some of the things that we can do is we can sort of improvise a pre-story. So let's say we know that the book we want to read tonight is about baseball, and we are running around the room singing songs about baseball in circles, jumping on the bed, the whole 9 yards. Well, we can either take the book itself and start a pre-story about that. So, before we start this one, did I ever tell you the story about the frog that played baseball? And I'm coming up with this in the moment.
Yeah.
So, we do our best.
That's right.
The frog that played baseball was just like you. He was hopping all over the place. But in order for him to go to bat, he needed to get in line. And that was so hard for this little frog to go into, and you'll have to excuse me, where does everyone sit in baseball when they're waiting?
The bench.
The bench. They had to go to the bench and sit on the bench. And he had such a hard time. And what could this frog do? And you can have a little bit of a pre-story that, first of all, gets them hooked into, oh, yes, this is story time. And second, gives them a covert example of what's happening and what they can do through imagination to be in a better spot, to make a better choice in this moment. So it's not, will you please sit down? I just need to read this book.
Give me 20 minutes. Relax.
Exactly. It's a covert way of going about it. So it's a little bit of like the old fairy tale, let's have a moral to the story, but instead of it being like, and that's why you shouldn't talk to strangers, it's covert, it's gentle, and it's going through and going, hey, if you were this frog, what would you do? Oh, okay. So when you sat down, like, let's pretend the bench is right here and now we're sitting, great, let's get our book out.
So now of course we focus on, this is really trying to help your child, student become a better individual, of course. Let's focus on the adult now, if we can. Talk to that side. Talk to the parent now. If you're having a conversation one-on-one with the parent, which in your programs you like to do a one-on-one situation, what do you say to them in order to make them aware of the situation as well?
So there's a couple of different things. I often start with, how are you caring for yourself? Because if you hit the end of the day and you are completely out of capacity, making up a story about a frog playing baseball is not in the cards. Let's not, oh yeah, guys, it'll be so easy. No, are you kidding? You are completely out of capacity. So recognizing day to day where you're at, like, is this a day where I can do this? Is this a day where I need to call in some reinforcements? Like, let me get grandma on the phone for a few minutes so that maybe that can be our story into story. Or maybe, I'm going to use some different methods today and not try to force myself to, do the hardest thing every single day. So it's a lot of figuring out what fills your cups and how do we recognize when you're just not there today. And that's okay. That doesn't make you good, bad, or otherwise. It's just human.
Applied, we learn how to talk. Applied behavioral happiness, part of our 911 and our local talk program today. Miss Kelly Siphon joins us here in studio. Of course, if you're listening in by way of our video on all of our social media platforms, we're talking about YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, a little bit of everything. And of course, where can they find more information about you as well?
Absolutely. So the best ways to get a hold of me are to go to appliedbehavioralhappiness.com. Any of the red request appointment buttons, you can get a free 30 minutes with me. Just see what we can do to help you. You can also call the office, 984-235-1058.
So, and there's also a little plug for your new program that you have. We talked a little bit about it every single week, but I wanted to make sure that people are aware that this program is something that can really, really help them in their livelihood.
Absolutely. So if you're working through tantrums and meltdowns and you'd really like in this new year to see those really tough moments turn into calm and communication, what we can do is get you started in the 8-week behavioral intensive, looking specifically at tantrums and meltdowns. It's only $199 for the whole 8 weeks. You'll be getting a lot of one-on-one support, and in the end, you'll have a full plan and all the tools to work through the next challenge on your own.
Fantastic. Miss Kelly, thank you. Always a pleasure having you in the studio here today. Anything else we want to make sure we kind of highlight before we wrap this up today?
I think the biggest thing today is just remember that sometimes your frog is not going to want to sit on the bench, and it's not your fault.
Absolutely love it. Again, my name is Trace Nine. On behalf of Local Talk, this is Behavioral 911. She is Miss Kelly Siphon, Applied Behavioral Happiness, and this is Behavioral 911. Until next time, God bless. We'll see you later.